Sean Locke, welcome to TV Heaven, Telly Hell, the show that celebrates great television and tuts very loudly at the rest. Of course, telly these days is all about formats, and I've come up with a great new one. It's me driving around the country in a vintage car with Paris Hilton. I know what you're thinking, but she's in the boot. We go to different zoos where I have to make an animal laugh. It's called Laugh Along a Zoo a Lock. Or Lock a Zoo a Laugh a Lot. Or Zooey Long a Laugh a Lot. Best bit is when I pull up at a zoo and I tap on the boot and go, "Oi, Hilton, we're at Whipsnade. I'll be an hour." It's got everything. Travel, animals, comedy and a posh bird in the boot. And while I'm there, I check the canteen food for bacteria. And now, to reveal his TV Heaven and Telly Hell, please welcome my guest, Nick Hancock.
This is lovely.
Well, thanks for coming on, Nick. Yeah. This is the show where you get to tell people what you love and hate on television. Do you watch a lot of telly?
Oh, I watch an awful lot of television. I mean, when the cricket's on, I'm up from about 4 o'clock in the morning. I can do a straight 16 hours, no problem at all. I watch the cricket. Then I'm into, you know, your sort of Homes Under the Hammer, that sort of thing. Cash in the Attic, over to Discovery or UK Star for Flog It, back for Bargain Hunt. Then you've got the 1 o'clock news, Neighbours, of course, Doctors, Diagnosis Murder, or Murder, She Wrote, depending on how I feel. Then the kids are back, and I'm watching all the kids' programmes, so it's fantastic. I can do the full day. And we've got, like, a little reclining chair, and I get different meals brought into me. It's like being on a transatlantic flight in my house.
So let's start with the programme you've chosen.
Yeah.
It's a programme you really don't like.
Yeah.
Trinny and Susanna.
Trinny and Susanna.
What not to wear is the show.
What not to wear. Absolutely baffling as to how this can be entertaining television. This is just about two very posh people telling the rest of us where we're going wrong. And I don't approve of it at all. It's judgmental, it's nasty, it makes people feel bad about themselves, and there's just too much forelock tugging going on.
But, I mean, it's hugely successful.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's got to the point where, you know, poorly dressed women are queuing up to be humiliated next. And we've got a clip here from the Divorced Women's special.
Nice touch.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah. And it gets you right there.
Yeah.
Bev, can you step forward, please? Sarah Illingworth, can you step forward, please? I'd like to say that you two are about to learn what not to wear. And thank you to the rest of you. Could the others leave the room? Thank you.
Now that is fantastic.
Yeah.
Because basically you've told 5 women that they look awful, OK? That they are a disgrace, that they will never be happy unless they change, and then within 20 minutes you've told 3 of them, off you go, carry on with your miserable existences.
And one part of it is they deal with people who have got emotional problems, they've been through long, painful divorces, and they actually think they're curing them by going shopping. Yeah, I feel like killing myself. Accessorise.
It's a problem.
But I wondered whether the 3 of them were actually... The 3 of them walked off. They looked a bit quite pleased, actually, because I think they thought, well, it obviously doesn't mean I'm as pathetic as the researchers said I am.
What, you mean they might just about get by looking how they look? Yeah.
But they've obviously picked the 2 most vulnerable, emotionally exhausted, worst dressed they can find.
But it's just not a challenge, is it? Giving advice to people who are already deeply depressed and feeling bad about themselves, they're going to do whatever they're told, aren't they? I think they should set themselves slightly more of a challenge. I'd like them to my wife, for instance, is Iranian. I would like them to see them do what not to wear in Iran. You see? Because they'd find it quite a challenge.
Yeah. But their method is quite cruel. And they get their, let's call them victim, to stare at themselves in a mirror in the clothes that they normally wear. And it sort of breaks them down. But then you have Trinny and Susanna either side of them, and it's a bit like an outtake from The Shining or something.
This is all things that are going to help you change you. All right? And you've got to change in there.
I'm trying to go forward and I don't like thinking about the past.
I think more than many women we've worked with, by chucking these out, it's going to be a very cathartic cleansing process for you. And I do believe it's like a, dirty, grubby chrysalis. They're all going to go, and you're going to become a different woman. You're going to become the woman who has been in jail for God knows how many years. You're going to be free.
There's something very chilling about the way that they slowly take her clothes off. And,
Yeah.
and they're staring. If you look, they're staring into the mirror,
Yeah.
and they've got these really dead eyes, as if they're going, "This is great telly. This is great. Break down, cry more."
But that's all they really need to do. If they want to encourage people to dress better, all they have to do is pop into various department stores, into the ladies' departments, walk past people who are looking at themselves in the mirror, and just as they go past them in the mirror, they just go... That's it.
It's a bit like the army, isn't it? Like Sergeant Majors, isn't it? Go, "You horrible little no good piece of rubbish. Get out of here, They're not going to make you into a man." It's a bit like that.
Yeah, you know.
But it's a posh version.
Yeah.
And one of them's got tits.
Yeah. Which one, Trini or Suzanne?
I don't know which they are. It's a bit like Ant and Dec. I don't know which one's which. If one of them had a massive forehead, it would help, wouldn't it? One of them's got, I mean, it sounds cruel, one of them's got very, very small tits.
Actually.
They look like a couple of coins. You know the charity envelopes?
Oh, they've got pockets.
They look for those charity envelopes.
Yeah.
You've got one coin in. And you hand it over. They look like that.
But it's just cruelty. And also, I mean, on a serious point about what not to wear, I mean, I was brought up to believe that what was inside was important and all those sort of things. And people do put themselves in through all sorts of trauma, worrying about having to live up to these expectations that they read in magazines. And this programme just encourages that. It actually says, if you want your life to be better, spend more money on clothes. And I just think that's a really divisive thing to say.
Well, if you thought Trini and Susanna were bad, you know, watch this show. It's an ITV show. They've taken their idea and gone to whole new levels with it, with plastic surgery. It's called Make Me Beautiful, although I think it should have been called Please Diminish My Ugliness.
It's official. Most British women dislike their bodies. So, last summer we offered them the chance of a free total face and body transformation in Los Angeles. 2,000 women applied.
I mean, I just want to know what sort of ad they answered. They must have put an advert.
Yeah, are you ugly?
Yeah.
Do you want to stop being ugly?
Wanted, cock-repelling growlers.
Double baggers.
Yeah, they pick 3 of them, and then they fly them to America, they give them plastic surgery, and then they fly them back home to
Presumably they have to get a new passport for flying back, because they're going to look completely different, aren't they?
Yeah, well, if it works, yeah. Jesus Christ.
You've enjoyed your holiday, I'll tell you what. That's done you the world of good.
Well, imagine on the way out as well, when they go to... Because in America, you go to immigration, they say reason for visit.
Yeah.
Or they say, like, I'm going to leave a bit of my arse in your country. But it's a pretty extreme show. And finally, they parade them in front of their friends and family.
Yeah.
And the thing I find a bit disturbing is just how pleased the family are. They're a little bit too delighted with the results.
She looks absolutely beautiful.
Absolutely stunning. About 15, 20 years younger than what she did now.
She's literally there going, "Way, well done, you're not a growler anymore."
Yeah, we can have the curtains open at home. Someone else can bring the milk in.
She does. If you see the picture before, she does look a lot better.
Yeah,
she does
yeah,
look
yeah.
better. I mean, she cries through her ears now, but you know. Now we're going to move on to a show that you love. You're not only love, you're obsessed by it.
I am.
Yeah.
It's Neighbours. I just love Neighbours. Genuinely, I am. I've watched Neighbours since it first... The reason I first watched it was I was working as a stand-up at the time, and it used to be on at 10:15, which is about the time you'd want to be getting up. And I absolutely loved it. I still love it. Nothing ever goes wrong in Neighbours that can't be fixed. It's where I want to live. It's just heaven. Ramsay Street is heaven. If anything bad happens to you, you know you can be an alcoholic, a kleptomaniac, have cancer, but all you have to do is have a good chat with Susan Kennedy and you'll be fine again. And the other thing is that it never changes. Although the people change, the characters are the same. So there used to be a bloke called Max. They got rid of him and replaced him with a bloke called Tom, who was exactly the same character. Tom went, they brought in a bloke called Joe, who was the same. So, in fact, no matter when you come to it, it's still got the same people in it.
Well, in this clip, we've got 2 of your favourite characters, actually, Des and Daphne. She's pregnant, and they go for a picnic.
What could happen?
How's my girl? Good for you. Is it all right?
Coming along beautifully. Jim, give me a hand over here, will you?
Sure. I might stand up for a bit. Can you manage that? Ah, nice place to be born, this. Couldn't think of a better place myself. Well, except for a hospital. Is that it?
Certainly is.
Well done. Yes?
He's probably one of the first of a nearly endless list of useless men with extremely practical and loving wives that will sort out their life.
Right.
But where they've made a mistake there, this is rule number one of Neighbours: never leave Ramsay Street. Because bad things will happen to you. You may get away with going to Lassiter's. Usually you'll be all right there. Do not, under any circumstances, go to Eden Hills. And certainly never go to Oakie. Oakie's out in the countryside. If people go to the countryside, always the following things will happen. Their car will break down. There will be no coverage on their phone. And shortly before the credits arrive, they will be lying at the bottom of a ravine with an injured ankle so they can't get to the road to find help.
I've never watched Neighbours. I've watched people watching Neighbours.
Yeah.
And found it a bit disturbing, actually. They look like they're on medication.
Well, no, but that's one of the joys. I mean, that's one of the joys of those sort of programmes. The same with Diagnosis Murder. That you can be watching them and actually you can do anything else. And it doesn't really matter because there's so little plot that you're very unlikely to miss anything. Des and Daphne, of course, were great favourites. That was the first really racy storyline, was Daphne was a stripper. You know, and this was very much frowned upon by some people, never by Helen Daniels, because she was always very wise. But by some of the others, it was frowned upon that Daphne was a stripper. But Des, although a local banker, a pillar of the community, I may say, he gave her a second chance. And he loved her. He loved that girl.
Did he?
He loved that girl.
I can see you getting into a pub fight over that.
Any one of you tell me that Des didn't love Daphne, we'll have it now!
We'll be back with more of Nick Hancock's TV Heaven and Hell after the break. Welcome back to TV Heaven, Telly Hell. My guest, Nick Hancock, is flipping between joy and misery over his life in front of the small screen. And next, you've chosen a BBC documentary from 1985. It's about a group of wealthy men who go fishing, sea fishing in Scotland. It's called The Fishing Party. Why do you love this?
It's sort of superficially, it's about four blokes going on a fishing expedition to try and catch a record fish. But in fact, the makers of the documentary have been very clever. They've identified these guys as being not your normal run-of-the-mill sort of people. They're going to let themselves down. The makers give them enough rope, and these guys hang themselves. They're four very posh guys who aren't really in touch with the real world, and the real world is sort of played in around them while the documentary proceeds.
We got a clip to show them. They're preparing for the trip, and I just point out the first fella you see in this, he's not wearing a beret. This is his real hair.
Right. He's sort of lunatic fella. Wants to go for he's very keen on fishing. Wants to go for the catch a record-sized fish.
The oldest of the friends, John Buckland, claims his main interest is to make money. Robert Hutchinson, the only bachelor, supports an expensive lifestyle by private means and no job. Henry Carew, however, has unearned income and a high-powered job in the drinks trade. While Guy Cheney, tiring of life in the city, has secret hopes of becoming a best-selling author.
I think one thing we know now is Guy Cheney never became a best-selling author.
Yeah, but that's the type of men they're
The type of men they were. You know, and that was quite alien to me. 1985, I hadn't met many people like that. It was a completely different world. 1985 was quite a volatile time, if you remember. It was the time of the riots. But what really fascinates me is, I'm presuming that they had other friends, and you'd have thought that when they said, look, we're going to make a documentary about going on our fishing trip to Scotland, that some of their friends would have gone, I think it's a bad idea. You know, that we're not quite so sure as you are that you're going to come across all that well.
We're going to see one of the men here, Guy Cheney, who I think is possibly one of the most unpleasant men I've ever seen on television, actually.
That's you probably hike to your line now.
Is it that long way down?
Nah, it's well down this gut, I think.
No, it's just here. Here it is. I'll get my pliers. Open up, dental treatment. Dentist.
I believe discipline is very important. He will need discipline. If he's anything like me, well, anyway. I feel quite firmly on this. I think corporal punishment must be... Sorry, capital punishment must be reintroduced as a deterrent. It must be. After all, the death sentence is only passed when one is as certain as one can be, and it's never, ever 100%, but let's say 95% is good enough for me. Probably in most cases 90% is good enough for me. As far as hanging is, in fact, probably I might even do it myself. If pushed.
The first thing I thought when I saw this was that kid's not discipline he needs, it's kidnap. That's his best chance in life.
It is really. But I mean, some people they should know that they shouldn't get involved in documentaries. You know, it's like, I can't imagine Fred West letting through the keyhole go to his house. or even better, Fred West on Wife Swap. Now that would have been interesting.
I think Fred West would let him in.
Yeah. But it's a mistake. It's a mistake of that order that they make, I think.
Now, the next clip we got is Henry Carew, and he's talking about the lineage of his family. He comes from a very ancient family, and what's particularly interesting about this is you see that he's distantly related to Mickey Mouse.
Been a few villains around. Banfield perhaps the most notorious. Been some good chaps too. And then there was the Admiral of the Fleet, who unfortunately had the Mary Rose go down underneath him. That wasn't too popular. The family have been around a long time.
I mean, he's been stitched up there.
Yeah. But, you know, you've got to feel... I mean, I'm sure the director didn't say, just take a drag of your cigarette at the end.
Yeah.
And try to look as pleased with yourself as you possibly can.
Yeah. But I can imagine he was standing there going, just move over the left a bit. He didn't get suspicious at all. They'd rather maybe go... move to the right a bit more. And towards the end of the documentary, they're not catching any fish, they're drunk. Right.
This is the culmination of the whole thing. This is the brilliant thing. Because they go on and on and on about how Britain's going to the dogs, about how discipline and breeding are the important things, how to behave properly, the things that are missing from people who aren't like them. And then by the end of the last day, they're on the boat, they've had a few drinks, and this is what they do.
Yeah.
And it's just a brilliant ending to the documentary.
Oh, piss off!
It's astonishing.
The thing I find most interesting about the end bit is why they had the guns on board. I could only think they thought that there may be pirates in Scotland.
Yeah.
This is their only worry.
I don't know, I wonder whether they're the sort of people who just, whatever they're doing, they take guns.
Yeah.
Game of squash, got a racket and a 12-ball.
Yeah. Well, you never know, do you?
But you're a very keen fisherman, aren't you?
I do actually like fishing.
You love fishing. And when you're not fishing, you're quite happy to watch it on the television.
I am. It's a little bit of a guilty secret. But as I say, I watch a lot of television. And one of the things I do watch are fishing programmes. And I watch them more in hope than expectation because they are uniformly pretty bad. But the only great thing about it is that they can't really afford any decent music, and they do tend to pump themselves up quite a lot. So they talk about, and now after the break, more rod-bending action with Midstream. And it's all people going like that with their rods. But the great thing is that the music is slightly reminiscent of sort of 70s porn. Because they can't really afford it. So there's something a little bit... I call it fish porn. That's what I call it. I'll say to my wife, I'm just going to watch a couple of hours of fish porn. Because it's sort of a little bit surreptitious, a little bit sleazy, a little bit seedy, and the music just tops it off.
We got a clip of some here.
Oh, right on the top of the bank, cow breathing right down my forearm. And that chub, I just watched it sucking a free-lined, big, black, juicy slug. And let me tell you, that is the reason that you go chub fishing. All action, all excitement, you cannot beat it. Fantastic. I'll tell you what, chub fishing is a bit like bad sex. It's all over very, very quickly.
See, and that is fish porn in a nutshell. Brilliant. Talking about the little black slug. Oh, look at the chub coming in. The music's going. It's fish porn, and it's very best.
It does resemble porn in the sense that you don't see the hours and hours and hours waiting for them to catch a fish. You just cut to the action.
Yeah, yeah.
Like in a porn film, you're not going to see a pizza guy deliver 1,000 pizzas
before
he gets a threesome. You know, if you showed every time you turn out a pizza, say thanks very much, shut the door.
And also they're missing out. I mean, the whole thing about fishing is it's the joy of being on your own, being in the countryside. It's the moment. It has to be in the moment. None of these things can you put onto television. It's like, you know, sometimes you're driving around, you're desperate for car parking space, and you see one, and that's quite exciting.
Yeah.
But it's not something you're going to make a television programme about.
No. Unless it was dogging. Well, it's very similar. Dogging is quite similar, because you spend hours out in the countryside.
That's true.
You definitely catch something.
Never quite sure what you're going to get, yeah.
And you've got the dilemma. Do I kill him or do I let him go? Do you want to see some more fish porn?
Yeah, I'll see some more fish porn. I'm always happy to see more fish porn.
He goes on, he gets a bit more intimate with the fish.
Yeah, well, they usually do. They like to handle the fish. There we have it.
As I say, not a giant fish, but what a pleasing fish. Thank you.
And you know, if he caught that at night, the way that mouth was going, you know. I'm not saying he would have done it. It had crossed his mind.
Yeah.
I'm fairly sure if it was a tench with all the slime on, he'd have been in there. Not something I myself do, but I've seen it happen.
Well, thanks for that, because you've bored me to levels I didn't know I was capable of.
Thank you very much.
Well, in Revenge, I want to show you something.
Yeah.
It's a show, I think, that's up to the fishing porn. It's Blizzard's Wizard Woodwork. Have a look at this.
It's a matte coat polyurethane varnish, and I don't use a brush. I use a cloth, lint-free, and I dip it in. And this is a nasty substance. You don't want to get too much of this on your hands either. And rub that into the handle. You look already, that handle's coming alive. Look at that beautiful, rich red colour at the bottom.
Gotta say, it's bye-bye fishing rods, hello Ron Seal for me.
Well, thanks, Nick, for that glimpse into your TV heaven, telly hell. And on this show, we like to see ourselves as the seal knot of television. We can reenact any moment in TV history for you. Is there anything you'd like to do?
Well, I think as you were so disparaging about it, I might do a bit of fishing for you, if I may.
Bit of fish porn?
A bit of fish porn.
OK, ladies and gentlemen, Nick Hancock. Have you been in trouble? Capital punishment.